Hi everyone, my name is Cassie and welcome to my channel Bookish 4 Eyes. I figured this channel can't be all rainbows and butterflies. There must be a time when I talk about some books that I did not enjoy. I think most of these are pretty well-known books and some of them are pretty popular. Some of them are a little bit less well-known, but nevertheless I feel like they've been around, that you may have spotted them as well. And if you care to see what books I did not enjoy in spite thinking that I would, please stick around. So let's get right to it. The very first book that I was disappointed in is called Lucky You by Erica Carter, and this falls into the category of a book where it seems to be about nothing. There's not something that characters are trying to achieve. There's not like an end goal in sight. There's not a problem at hand. It's just these three friends in a small town in Arkansas who are, I guess, trying to figure their life out. I think the worst thing about this book was the fact that I just could not figure out these characters. Like, they all seemed the same. There was no depth to them. They didn't stand out to me. They all seemed like the exact same person. So basically, it was a struggle to get through this book. So I ended up giving this book 2 out of 5 stars, and I think most of the books on this list are 2-star books, so they are quite bad. So let's move along. The next book that I read is called Shatter Me, and I see this book a lot around booktube, and every time that I see it, it kind of like breaks my heart a little bit. Not just because I really didn't enjoy it, but also because I guess I wish I did. Whenever there's a popular book that everyone loves and I hate, it just really makes me wonder what's going on and why I'm the person who seems to really dislike it. I think the main thing that kind of got to me when reading this book, and that's what makes it really unique from all these other books, is the fact that there was just way too much stuff being crossed out all throughout the book. Like, I have pretty reasonable patience. I can handle like a few things being crossed out here and there. I feel like this book just like went overboard and just crossed every other thing out, and that's just when I was like, all right, like 30 pages into this book, I don't know that I can go on any longer. This is a series and I couldn't carry on with that. So I didn't. I just dropped it right there and then, and I have to be completely honest, I barely remember what the book was about. I just know the main character's name was Juliet, but I could be also wrong about that. This next book that I really disliked is quite popular, actually. So popular there's a show now, which boggles my mind, but anyway, this book is Sweetbitter. I remember reading this book and thinking, alright, this sounds promising, and there's a lot of hype around this book. Everyone likes the cover of it. It just, alright, it seems like it's going to be good. It wasn't. It was not good. And I think this falls into the category of books where the main character is kind of troubled, and they do a lot of stupid things, and they do a lot of reckless things, and if you're interested in that, and that's why you're reading that book, then maybe it lives up to your expectations and you're genuinely happy with it. However, I just didn't really see a point in this book, and I couldn't help but like not feel bad for the main character who just kept doing stupid things over and over again. That book is about a 22-year-old woman who decides to move to New York to become a waitress. I mean, right off the bat, that was a huge red flag for me, because there's no way I could support a character with no actual dream or goal or, you know, big aspiration or anything like that, just because I knew she was not in it to win it. So I thought, alright, this is going to be one of those books. And it was indeed one of those books. She was struggling to live there. She didn't really know anybody. She was living on like a mattress in like Williamsburg somewhere, which, you know, makes you kind of wonder, because Williamsburg is like not a cheap place anymore. So I don't know. Then I started questioning the accuracy of all that. So I was definitely doubtful about the fact that that's where she would be living. But anyways, I still decided to give that book a chance. And the thing that like I think killed me was the fact that she just was in this unhealthy relationship with this server, waiter, bartender guy who worked at the same restaurant where she got a job, and he was also like seeing this other girl who also worked with him, and there was like a weird love triangle thing. And for me, a love triangle is a deal breaker. I have yet to see a love triangle when I was where I was genuinely invested in what was happening and thought that it was actually believable. So for me, that thing just did not work out. And when you know they're in an unhealthy relationship that seems kind of abusive, and the character knows they're in an abusive relationship, but they don't do anything about it and they actually seem to enjoy it, then I really lose interest in that book and I just can't get on board with it, and there's no way I would enjoy it. So that's what happened here. I didn't enjoy it. I can't believe there's a show. I don't know. I guess there might be some good show material for it, but overall I didn't like this book. And honestly, the 3-star rating on Goodreads proves to me that I wasn't wrong when I thought that I didn't enjoy this book. Other people think so too. The next book is called The Woman Number 17, and I had the highest of hopes for this one, and that might be why it didn't really live up to my expectations. I read this author's other book called California, and I genuinely enjoyed it. And if you like books about weird societies or people kind of create them themselves, like a cult type thing, check it out. So anyways, back to The Woman Number 17. This is about I guess a stay-at-home mom who didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom anymore, so she hired a babysitter slash nanny for her child, and she also decided to separate from her husband, and they had like a complicated kind of relationship. And the girl who became the nanny was, I don't know, they just had this weird dynamic happening where they were kind of friends, the wife and the babysitter. But the babysitter also, I don't know, she had like a whole side story of her own. So it was really hard to figure out what the book was about and who was supposed to be the main focus. And I guess I was supposed to be the wife, but you kind of went on this whole other side story of the nanny. So just in the end, I couldn't really figure out what the point was. And I think for me that's the biggest deal breaker of all, is when I can't figure out what the point is. There's no goal. You're not trying to figure anything out. It's just people's lives happening. I think that's not a very appealing kind of storyline for me. And if it is for you, then maybe some of these books would be a great fit. But unfortunately, if there's no kind of point to the plot, it's just the characters doing their thing, living their lives, I'm not really into it. So unfortunately, this was a big disappointment, especially because I liked the author's other book, and I was really hoping for something that would be just as good as the previous work. So anyways, I was disappointed in The Woman Number 17, even though I had high hopes, and I did tweet at that author once and she responded, which I really appreciated. So there's that. This last book I was, I guess, probably the most disappointed for, because I believe it's won some awards and it was pretty popular overall. So I really felt like I was missing out on something when I decided I couldn't give this book more than 2 stars on Goodreads. And this is Fates and Furies. And this basically is the story of a relationship of a husband and wife. It's told from both of their perspectives, so you get her side, his side, you get to know all the angles. And the truth was, I didn't enjoy this book because both characters were such jerks. I didn't enjoy his story or her story. I didn't like what they had to say. I didn't like the kind of people that they were. I didn't like anybody. And that's another thing, apart from not really having a story to tell, not really having a purpose, I think the second worst thing is when you don't care about the characters and when you just genuinely don't like them. Sometimes there's instances when there's a character who's bad, you know they're bad, but you kind of still root for them. This wasn't the case. They were just 2 completely lost souls who they were beyond any help, and they didn't want to be helped, and they just wallowed in their own little world. So I did not like it, and I hated both of them. So overall, I did not like that book at all. So that was very unfortunate, because for me, whenever story is told from multiple perspectives, I usually enjoy it just because I get to see that much more depth to all of them, and you get to see the story from all angles. Unfortunately, here it didn't work out, so this book also got 2 stars. So there you have it, some books that I did not enjoy and that were probably some of the worst reads that I can remember. I had to go back to my Goodreads page to see what was there, but a lot of them I do remember that they were just reads I really disliked. So please let me know if you've read any of these books. Please let me know if you liked or didn't like them, and also maybe share some of the terrible reads that you've read lately. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.